Picture this. It's the dead of night and your phone screen lights up with a message from a complete stranger. That eerie, glowing screen? Well, it's the perfect image for what we're diving into today. In this explainer, we're taking a hard look at a digital mystery that absolutely shook the internet. It crossed borders, jumped language barriers, and literally left a trail of panic in its wake. We're going to break down exactly how an online rumor snowballed into a massive focal point for law enforcement, panicked parents, and researchers all over the world. So let's go back to 2016. Almost overnight, this strange, chilling name started popping up absolutely everywhere online: the Blue Whale Challenge. People started saying that anonymous strangers were targeting and contacting vulnerable kids on the internet. And man, the rumors spread like wildfire. We're talking endless whispers of secret groups, hidden messages buried deep inside social media, and mysterious figures handing out disturbing instructions from untraceable accounts. It was basically a digital ghost story, but it suddenly felt very, very real. Which leads us to the big puzzle we're trying to deconstruct today. Was this actually one massive, hidden game operating in the shadows? Or was it something way more complicated? Something that maybe tells us a lot more about how the internet itself works. Welcome to the Enigma Files, where we dig through the evidence to separate fact from fiction. Today we're investigating file number 015, the Blue Whale Challenge.
Section 1, the story begins. Okay, to really understand how this blew up, we have to trace it back to the early reports out of Russia. They introduced this super unsettling term, curators. A curator was supposedly an anonymous admin who hunted for and privately messaged vulnerable young people. According to those early rumors sweeping the web, these curators hid behind constantly changing usernames. Nobody knew who they really were. They supposedly operated in these dark corners of the internet, encrypted chats, locked groups, places where outsiders couldn't just casually scroll through their conversations. I mean, it was literally the perfect recipe for mass anxiety. But investigators ran into a massive roadblock right out of the gate, trying to separate the actual confirmed events from all the wild rumors, figuring out what was a documented claim versus what was just pure unverified fear. It was incredibly tough. Sure, authorities documented some claims, but so many others were just being endlessly copy-pasted on forums and social media without a single shred of proof. The line between reality and the panic it caused just completely blurred.
Section 2, Curators and Arrests. So the most terrifying theory out there was that a single, highly coordinated network was running this whole challenge. But every time investigators tried to look closer, the digital evidence would just vanish. Which brings up a really critical question. Was there actually one organized network hiding in the shadows? Or were we just seeing a bunch of unconnected individuals copying the idea? I mean, anybody can throw on a spooky username, right? As authorities finally stepped in, this question became the absolute center of the investigation. The anonymity of the web just made the actual truth so hard to pin down. Now, we do have some hard facts here. There were confirmed criminal prosecutions in Russia. Real-world arrests absolutely happened. Law enforcement did track down and prosecute people connected to harmful online groups. Actually, one guy even went public and claimed he personally created the whole challenge, which obviously grabbed global headlines and seemed to confirm everyone's worst fears. But did it? Did one person really launch this massive global thing, or did the name just get so famous that other totally unrelated bad actors decided to hijack it? The arrests proved the danger was real, but they definitely didn't give us the whole picture.
Section 3, a global viral panic.
So the story exploded. It went from regional news to an absolute international frenzy. You had news channels and panicked parents everywhere amplifying the warnings. But researchers who studied this later pointed out something pretty devastating. They noted that, and I quote, repeated exposure to harmful material could affect vulnerable people and contribute to imitation or contagion effects. Think about that for a second. That's a huge realization. They were warning that all this breathless media coverage, even the well-intentioned warnings, might have actually made things worse. They were basically handing a megaphone to the exact harm they were trying to stop.
And that brings up a super unsettling thought. Could the intense fear surrounding this challenge have actually pushed the name further than any secret group could have done on its own? It's a really dark psychological possibility, right? That the viral panic itself became the main engine driving this thing, introducing this dangerous idea to vulnerable people who otherwise never, ever would have heard of it. Section 4, investigating the theories.
To really wrap our heads around this, let's break down 3 different ways this digital mystery could have grown so huge. Theory number 1, the copycat theory. This is the idea that the Blue Whale name just turned into dark viral branding. Anonymous users figured out they could make a fake account, call themselves a curator, and send scary messages pretending to be part of this huge hidden network. If a ton of people did this, it totally explains why evidence in different countries led to completely different dead ends. There might not have been a master organization at all, just hundreds of digital copycats using the same terrifying name. But of course, if it was all copycats, where did the original end and the copies begin?
Next up, we have the viral panic theory. A lot of researchers heavily lean into this one. They argued that sensational reporting completely blew the actual threat out of proportion. You had scary headlines being shared thousands of times, unverified numbers treated as absolute facts, and isolated tragic events suddenly being stitched together by the media before the police even finished their investigations. Basically, this theory says the internet itself, just through sheer panic and sharing, turned a local problem into a worldwide monster. But if it was just a panic, why were the police taking it so seriously? Why the arrests?
Which leads us to the final theory, the hidden network theory. Some people are absolutely convinced we just never saw the whole picture. This theory suggests that deleted accounts, encrypted messages, and locked groups actually did successfully hide a massive coordinated network. The idea is that we only ever saw fragments of the real story, and the rest just vanished into the digital ether before anyone could verify it. Now, there's no solid proof that one global mastermind was pulling the strings, but this theory sticks around because, let's be real, digital evidence disappears incredibly fast.
Section 5. What was real? All right, we need to draw a hard line here between the undeniable facts and the digital myths. Because let's be clear, this wasn't just a made-up ghost story. Real harm happened. But when you look at the facts, there's a huge divide. On one side, we have confirmed criminal cases. Harmful communities existed, authorities investigated, people were arrested, and families had every right to be afraid. But on the other hand, the wildest claims, like this idea of a massive, perfectly coordinated global organization with a master list of victims, that remained completely unverified. There just wasn't one neat little explanation for every single story tied to that name.
Section 6, the final question.
So the core of this whole mystery isn't really about whether harmful communities existed, because we know for a fact they did. The deeper mystery is what this challenge morphed into once the global internet got hold of it. Was it a hidden network running flawlessly in the shadows? Was it a toxic idea copied by random people acting alone? Or did viral panic turn a few isolated tragedies into a global hysteria? Or did the absolute truth just get permanently deleted, lost in accounts nobody will ever see?
Honestly, the most likely answer is that it's a mystery blown massively out of proportion by the internet. The blue whale was probably all of those things at the exact same time. It was a very real danger, it was a copied idea, it was a viral panic, and it was a digital myth on steroids. The tragic stories from that time are still real. The warnings still matter. But the complete, unvarnished truth, we might never actually find it.
File number 015 remains open. Subscribe to the Enigma Files. Until the next investigation, stay curious.